and use it in the evening. And also, if you look closer, maybe we will find some plastic in our toothpaste, which is quite interesting that not only our toothbrush but our toothpaste contain plastics. Maybe this is not so surprising if we take a look on the plastic production. You can see that the global plastic production is intensively growing, and in 2015 it was over 300 million tons per year. So in 2015 it was over 300 million tons globally. So it's not so surprising that we found plastics everywhere, also in our toothpaste. The biggest problem that this amount of plastic can extremely fast become trash. 40% of this 400 million tons is packaging. I think that everyone knows that packaging has a very, very short lifetime. So we are producing, we are leaving behind a lot of plastic waste. Of course, there are a lot of benefits that we are becoming from plastics. You can see here polystyrene, which is many times used for isolation of buildings. Also here in the city there are a lot of older buildings that are covered with a huge quantity of polystyrene, and when these works are conducted, these tiny particles are generated. So even if we gain an environmental benefit, there is also parallelly an environmental threat. What are microplastics? These are smaller than 5 millimeters, and you can find it at many places. There are primary microplastics, which are the so-called microbeads. You can find them in toothpaste, for example, and the secondary microplastics are generated from the breakdown of larger plastic items. The topic of microplastics is really a hot topic in the last few years. You can see here the number of scientific papers that was published in the last years, and you can see that the numbers are extremely increasing. If you have a short look on the green and the blue columns, you can see that with green I highlighted the number of studies relating to microplastics, and with blue you can see the number of studies that are about microplastics in fresh water. So this is a very, very tiny amount of the whole studies. But we should really consider fresh water, because our life are connected with fresh water at many places. For example, agriculture, aquaculture, also drinking water production. And if we are not thinking only of ourselves, we can see that there are a lot of creatures that are affected by the microplastics. Just shortly, I would like to go through in Freshwater Europe microplastic studies, just to have an overview where microplastics have been identified. You will see them in Italy, also in the River Rhine in Germany. In Germany, other water from sediments. In Switzerland, from sediments, water, and fish species. And also in France, from fish, there were microplastics identified. Just one data. I don't want to show you many data, but the River Rhine contained around 20 particles per 1 cubic meter. You had an overview of the European studies, and you might have realized that these are rather Western European studies. What is the state of science here in the Danube region? I can say not so much about the Danube, because in the last few years only 2 studies from Austria have been published, but the data are not comparable because they are using different methods for sampling and for analysis, and this is a global problem in microplastic science. What is in Hungary regarding microplastics? Last year we conducted the first sampling and measurement in the river Tisa. And also this year we launched a campaign, the so-called Tiny Plastic Puzzle campaign, which aims to measure microplastics from the Danube and the Danube tributaries. Until now we measured the Raba and the Ipoly. I will talk you about the results a little bit later. But first, have a look about microplastic sampling. You can see here a so-called Montanet, which is generally used in oceans. But also you can see here that this system can be applied in rivers. This is one of the Austrian studies. But if you see the picture on the top right, you can see that this is quite massive instrument. This needs a truck and a bridge to apply, so this is not so practical in many places. That's why we developed a system which includes a pump and some filters, and we can go down to sampling microplastics around 50 micrometers, which is quite tiny. Also, there is a chance to sample the sediments, because many studies shows that microplastics can accumulate in the riverine sediments. So just one slide about the results. You can see in the middle the results of Tisa and the Tisa tributary, and on the left the Raba and the Ipoly. What is really important that we have found microplastics at every sampling site. Between, in average, 5 to 10, so in average around 10 particles per cubic meters, which is quite close to the international studies. And regarding the types, you will find dominantly polyethylene and polypropylene, and in some cases polystyrene, which is the most common polymer types. You can see a big question mark here at the Duna. We sampled the river Danube, and we will present the results next week on another conference, which is a closing conference of the so-called Tiny Plastic Puzzle campaign, which I just mentioned. And this is the point where I would like to highlight that science can also reach the public, not only art, because we generated a website where we collected all microplastic related information, and also we published the results of the measurements there, because we truly believe that knowledge worth to spread between the whole public. So that's why we strive to reach the public and not only the scientific area. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your presentations. And now we have heard about Wessling and Valor Hungary from Gabor and Marco, but I also would like to introduce our other two participants. Kata Gereben, he's an art historian from Equilor Fine Art, and Karina Vissonova from Institute for Advanced Studies of Design. And I would like to ask you to tell us about your background, to tell some words of the connection to the art and design world. But,
thank you. I'll be brave and start then. So yes, my name is Karina Vissonova, and I'm a founder of a new design institute here in Budapest, Institute of Advanced Design Studies, and we offer a course in Advanced Design Studies for Sustainability. So all our educational efforts to develop education and also to advance education design are focused on advancing our societies globally, not just Hungarian as a national society, but globally towards more sustainable ways of living and more sustainable ways of understanding, interpreting, perceiving our world. In connection to School of Ethics and Design Philosophy. I have extensive history in product development and innovation, around 20 years, actually over 20 years, which I want to emphasize because that's